Growing up, Chad Johnson was my favorite player to watch other than Ray Lewis, and he was also the first jersey I had from an NFL player. Being a little kid at the time, the way he played on the field and went about himself as an athlete stood out to me in a way that I don't think I've seen replicated since. From his crazy touchdown celebrations to his off-the-field antics in the media to go with his great play at the wide receiver position, Ocho Cinco gave Bengals fans and even football fans everywhere a reason to tune in and watch the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday despite how bad they were throughout the 2000s. But how did Chad Johnson fall to the second round in the 2001 NFL Draft? Chad Johnson started his college football career at Santa Monica College in Santa Monica, California. Bad grades and bad behavior kept him from going to a Division I school. On A Football Life, Chad himself said that coming out of high school, he had a lot of raw talent, but wasn't fully developed as a player at the time. Charles Collins, Santa Monica's receivers coach at the time, was able to hone in his talent and make him a better player. Chad was able to improve both on the field and in the classroom, and then transferred to Oregon State after doing 3 years at Santa Monica. After playing one season there, he had 37 catches for 806 yards and 8 touchdowns through 12 games, and that caught the attention of NFL scouts. That was enough to persuade the Bengals to get him in the second round with the 36th overall selection. Who are the 7 receivers taken before him? The first receiver taken in the 2001 NFL Draft was David Terrell. Terrell was a 3-year letterman and 2-year starter at the University of Michigan. In 34 games, he had over 130 catches for over 2,000 yards receiving and 19 touchdowns, and declared for the NFL Draft as a junior when he was taken as the 8th overall pick in the first round by the Chicago Bears. His career didn't pan out at all with the Bears. His best year was in 2004, where he had 42 catches for 699 yards and 1 touchdown, and after that season, he was pretty much out of the league. The second receiver drafted was Corn Robinson at pick 9, and the Seahawks took him. His NFL career lasted 8 seasons, and his career looked very promising in the beginning of it after recording 78 catches for over 1,200 yards in just his second season. Although he would never even reach over 900 yards receiving again in his career, he was still a serviceable player. He even made the Pro Bowl in 2005 as a kick returner with the Vikings, but could never replicate the season after leaving and joining the Green Bay Packers. Robinson later went back to Seattle to play a season there in 2008, and because of a knee injury, the Seahawks didn't bring him back. He ended up joining the United Football League and played a season there before wrapping his football career up. Rod Gardner was taken with the 15th pick by the Washington Redskins out of Clemson. He started his college career as a quarterback and safety before moving to wide receiver in his sophomore year. Gardner was a 2-time All-ACC player and was even an All-American his senior year. The best game he ever had in his NFL career came in his rookie season when he had 6 catches for 208 yards and a touchdown in a 17-14 win over the Carolina Panthers. The very next season, he recorded 71 catches for 1,006 yards and 8 touchdowns, and that was the only time he totaled more than 1,000 yards receiving in a season in his career. He was traded to Carolina in 2005, where he didn't get much playing time until he was waived and picked up by the Packers towards the end of the year. In 2006, he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs, where he only had 2 catches in 14 games. The Chiefs released him, and his NFL career was over. Santana Moss was the very next receiver drafted at pick 16 right out of the U. Santana Moss ended up walking on at Miami and was an All-American in his senior year. Being drafted by the Jets, Moss spent the first 4 seasons of his 14-year career in New York, where he had over 2,400 yards and 21 total touchdowns. He was traded to Washington before the 2005 season, and that's where his career really started to take off. In his first season there, he had 84 catches for almost 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns, and he did that while having Mark Brunell at quarterback. That was also the only Pro Bowl Moss made in his career. Throughout the rest of his career, Santana Moss would only have 2 more 1,000-yard seasons before retiring in 2014. Moss didn't have a bad career at all. A couple 1,000-yard seasons with a Pro Bowl selection to go if it is decent. And in comparison to Chad Johnson's career stats, they are almost identical, with Chad having less than 800 more yards receiving, 34 more catches, and just 1 more receiving touchdown than Moss. The 25th pick in the first round was Freddie Mitchell. An All-American out of UCLA, Mitchell never turned out to be the player that most people expected him to be, and his stats show that. In 2004, while Terrell Owens was there, Mitchell became very frustrated with his limited role in the Eagles' offense. When T.O. went down late in the season, Mitchell got more opportunities and caught 3 touchdown passes while Owens was out. Before the Super Bowl against the Patriots, in an ESPN interview, Mitchell was asked to identify players in the New England Patriots secondary, and not only did he not know their names, he didn't even know their numbers. Patriots coach Bill Belichick later responded by saying, quote, "All he does is talk. He's terrible, and you can print that." Mitchell went on to only have 1 catch for 11 yards in the Super Bowl loss. He was released from the Eagles months later, and his NFL career was pretty much done. 5 picks later, in the first round of the 2001 NFL Draft at pick 30, the Indianapolis Colts struck gold with Reggie Wayne. Another receiver out of Miami, Wayne will be paired with Marvin Harrison to become one of the best wide receiver tandems in NFL history. From 2004 to 2010, he had 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons and got a Super Bowl victory in 2006. A 6-time Pro Bowler and 1-time All-Pro with over 1,000 catches and 82 touchdowns, Wayne is easily the best receiver to come out of the 2001 NFL Draft. The Colts made the right pick. The final receiver to be taken off the board before Chad Johnson was Quincy Morgan. Round 2, pick 33 out of Kansas State. The Browns got him. Morgan was an all Big 12 player coming out of college and was a somewhat productive player for the Cleveland Browns in his rookie season. His sophomore season in the NFL ended up being the best season of his 7-year career, where he recorded 56 catches, 964 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And that was all a part of the last Cleveland Brown team to appear in a playoff game. He played 1 more full season in Cleveland before being traded to the Dallas Cowboys in the middle of the 2004 season, and his career was pretty much downhill from there. He was released and then signed with the Steelers at the start of the 2005 season, and he only had 9 catches before fracturing his fibula in a playoff game against the Bengals. The good thing was that the Steelers won the Super Bowl that year, but he was released again right after the season ended. He would finish his career with the Broncos and appeared in 7 games to return kicks, and was released again right before the 2007 season. So there you have it. In conclusion, about 5 out of the 7 receivers drafted before Chad Johnson pretty much had lackluster careers where they bounced from team to team and was written off as a bust. 7 teams passed on literally one of the most exciting receivers on and off the field in the 2000s. Chad Johnson was probably the best route runner I've ever watched and was a great playmaker for Cincinnati. When he was at his best, there were few receivers that were better. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, like the video. And if you like me, subscribe.